Hello again, and welcome back to Lost in Translation. My name is Nico, and today we're taking a look at the Torah portion Korach and the 10 things you will miss if you are reading the portion only in English. So let's get right into number one. The leaders complain. So we just got done with the previous portion where there were complaints against Moshe and Aaron again. The children of Israel, the nation of Israel, refused to go into the land. There's the issue of the spies and these leaders that were selected, these renowned men who were selected to spy out the land. They delivered a bad report, and 10 of them were killed for this. And and the nation was punished with 40 years of wandering in the desert, in the wilderness. And in this context, we have yet another rebellion against Moshe and Aaron. And we have these 250 other leaders rise up with this Levite named Korach, and they're basically complaining like Aaron and Miriam had complained, saying, "What's the deal? We're all holy. Why are you dominating? Why do you think you guys are so special?" And so what we see here is this system of complaints where we went from the top of the society, Miriam and Aaron, inside, with their connection to Moshe, and then we had leaders who were spies, and now we have this rebellion of this group of Levim. And so the complaints are filtering down through society, and each level, one by one, is getting corrected of these complaints. Okay. Number two. Korach. If we're looking for some sort of answer about what's being corrected here, it is interesting to see the name of the leader, right? Korach, the son of Itzar, the son of Kohath, the son of Levi. So we know he's a Levite, which means he has a special mission in the nation of Israel. He's one of the people who's charged with the work of the tabernacle, and he's ahead of this tribe, right? Ahead of his family. And if we look here to see his name in Hebrew, Korach can also mean ice. If we just ignore this son of, we see this, ice will numb, right? Right here. Ice will make numb, right? Or ice will kind of dull the senses. Somehow there's something cold in Korach's complaint. He's not warm to the light of Hashem, as it were, and we know that he's supposed to be somebody who's well, we know that he was part of the tribe who supported Moshe Rabbeinu with the sin of the golden calf. So there was a point in time when he was hot, but now we see his name and we have the idea that he is quite cold. It's just interesting that we have this symbology there in his name. Okay, so the leaders protest against Erwan. Throughout these complaints, Moshe Rabbeinu is responding. He's saying, "Come on, who, you've been selected for this great duty, and it's not good enough for you. What you want to be priests too, and we okay. It's good that Korach wants to draw closer to Hashem, but for what reason is he drawing closer to Hashem? Is it for greater service to the whole, or is it for his own personal satisfaction? And and Moshe Rabbeinu, again, in his humility, he doesn't say, "Hey, you're complaining against me." He asks, "Who is Aaron? Well, what is Aaron that you should complain against him, right? The Aaron Mahu ki talin who are alive, right?" Uh, okay, it's written in a slightly different way, but we pronounce it, that are against him, and okay. So when we see Moshe Rabbeinu's humility, but we really see the uh, the juxtaposition of Korach's complaint and the station that he is seeking, right? So again, Aaron, he has this position um, of service, and personally, I mean, he's lost two sons, and he has suppressed his own desires in order to fulfill this service. And it seems that Korach, by wanting to usurp this, obviously his desire for the office of priesthood is kind of a disqualification in and of itself. Number 4, dominate us. In response to these complaints, Moshe Rabbeinu says, "All right, tomorrow bring your fire pans and your incense. We're all going to go before the tent of meeting, and Hashem is going to choose who his servant is." Right? And there's a couple of these guys here who are part of the complaint with Korach, is Datan and the Abiram. um, they don't want to go to the tent of meeting. Like, no, even in this, you're trying to control us. Even in this, you're forcing us to play your game where we, you know, go and do these things that you're telling us to do. And all of this is your fault. You said you took us from a land of milk and honey, and you didn't bring us to our inheritance, right? You've brought us out of a land of milk and honey, right? And we're blaming you that we're all going to die in the desert, right? And we're not going to play your game, because we know if we go with the fire pans, we're probably going to die, because they saw it happen to Eliab and Elihu, the sons of Aaron, the two priests who died for bringing in alien fire. Like, wait a second, we're not going to play that game. We're staying right here. That's it. You can't tell us what to do anymore. Number 5, Moshe defends the people. Okay, so Korach shows up with his 250 people, these leaders of the nation. They all have their fire pans. They're all standing there in front of the tent of meeting, tabernacle, and Hashem is saying, "Get out of the way. I'm going to wipe this whole. I'm going to wipe them all out." Right? And again, right? Moshe, and now Erwan as well, right? Now Erwan is more close. I mean, we're seeing him in connection to Moshe here, that they fell upon their faces, right? And they said, "Are you going to kill everybody just because of the sins of one man?" Right? So this is this again. They're defending the people even though they know that they're wrong, and at the same time, everyone is being elevated by his direct association with Moshe. That both of them are interceding in this situation. Number 6, the ground split and the earth opened. These guys, they're not going to go and join the fire pan uh, assembly. And what happens is Moshe is telling the nation, okay, if something unnatural happens, if they're swallowed up by the ground, then you know that they're against Hashem. I didn't do any of this. This wasn't about me. And, it's interesting again here that we might think that earth and ground are synonyms for each other. But again, as soon as yeah, um, you know, in the I don't like this particular translation because in the art scroll there is a difference. They say the ground beneath them split open, and the earth beneath them opened their mouth. That's how it's written in the art scroll, and it's more correct because here we have Adama, which is ground, which reminds us of Domeh. That the Domeh, the similarity between these rebellious people and Hashem was split, and it was the eretz, which connects to the ratzon, their desire, that opens its mouth and swallows them. So again, they've lost their similarity and their own personal desire, eretz or ratzon, right? That is what opens its mouth and consumes them, right? So that's what we understand about this complaint and this desire of Korach and his party to usurp the priesthood and to take over leadership of the nation. It was because of their egotistical desire that they were defeated in this. They weren't connected to Hashem. Their similarity was broken, and they were consumed by their desires. Number 7, a flame came forth. It's just interesting that it was a flame that came forth from Hashem to consume the 250 men. I mean, this is the same phenomenon that we saw with Aaron's 2 oldest sons, who were consumed by a fire from Hashem for bringing their alien fire, right? It's also just interesting that a man whose name sounds like ice was consumed by fire, right? That if he had cooled in his desire to serve Hashem, if he had become egotistical, if somehow this made him into ice, it was the fire of Hashem that consumes him. Very interesting symbology. Number 8, you have killed. Okay. It doesn't seem to end because the very next day, the entire congregation come to complain against Moshe and Aaron. And they're saying that you have killed the people of the Lord. These leaders of ours, these holy people, you killed them. They were consumed by a fire from Hashem. But we see how level by level, Aaron, Miriam, the spies, the Levite leaders, and now the congregation as a whole, the, the complaints are working their way down through the levels of the nation so that eventually the entire nation will be purified of this desire to complain. They'll stop seeing Moshe and Erwan as responsible for what's happening to them. They'll take their own responsibility and they'll understand that the true power that's being exercised here is the power of Hashem. Number 9, Erwan checks the plague. Okay, at this point, there's no warning, there's nothing else. Hashem says, get away from these people. I'm wiping them out. And so now prayer is not going to be enough. Now an atonement is required. And it's interesting that the atonement that Moshe Rabbeinu tells Aaron the Kohen to make is to put fire from on top of the altar and put incense on this, the very service that 250 people were wiped out for. This is what saves the congregation from this plague that is now affecting them. And we see that Aaron was standing between the dead and the living, and the plague ceased, or the plague was checked, right? And yeah, it's just it's driving home the fact that there were the 250 others who were doing exactly what Aaron Cohen was doing, and they were wiped out. Aaron Cohen comes out into the midst of the people with his fire pan, with his incense, and it's this same action that saves everybody. Okay, there were those who died, but saves those who could have died as well. So now we're seeing that the act is not nearly as important as the intention of the one performing it. Aaron Cohen has gone out to do this service in order to save his people. It's not about his aggrandizement. It's not about him being the priest. It's not about people respecting him or loving him. It's about his responsibility to the people and his love for them and his desire to save them. Number 10. Almonds ripened. Okay, now Hashem is seeking to put all these complaints to rest for good. Moshe Rabbeinu has been commanded to tell the leaders of the tribes to all bring their staffs, and you're going to bring them to the tent of meeting, and the one staff of the house that is preferred by Hashem, the servant of Hashem, is going to blossom. Okay, and this in itself is a miracle. You've got this dry, hard, large stick that's being used for walking, and it's going to miraculously blossom. Well, not only does it blossom, but it gave forth blossoms, sprouted buds, and produced ripe almonds. If you understand anything about almond trees and how long it takes for an almond tree to actually produce fruit, then you can understand the magnitude of what's being described in this miracle, right? That you have this dead piece of wood that produce the type of fruit that it takes a living tree 50 or 100 years even to actually come to produce, right? I mean, almond trees take a long time to mature and to become fruit-bearing trees. And so this staff has miraculously sprouted buds, flowered, and even produced a fruit that isn't produced easily by a tree under natural circumstances. So we have this completely miraculous situation with the ripe almond fruits um, sprouting from what's supposed to be a dead staff. All right. There's even more. We didn't talk about tithing or the heritage that was given to Aaron and to the Levites, and that they don't have an inheritance in the land because Hashem is their heritage, right? It's a very rich portion. If there's something that I missed that you think we should talk about, please put it into the comments. Um, as always, like, subscribe, share, comment, and until next time, be well.